Have you ever accidentally killed your pet? I have several sad incidents of pets meeting their painful demise at the hands of immediate family. These unnecessary deaths were caused by ignorance, selfishness, and an overall lack of respect for animals of any kind. For instance, viewing pets as possessions as opposed to dignified companions who feel physical and emotional pain just as severely as humans do. Incident number 1. When I was 6 years old, my grandparents' neighbors gave them a beautiful long-haired guinea pig. His name was Charlie. He was relaxed and sweet and loved to sit on our laps, or my grandfather's lap, while we watched TV. My grandfather formed a pretty strong bond with the little guy as well. After a few months, my grandmother began to get jealous of how my sister and I doted on Charlie, and she would berate my grandfather for his relationship with Charlie. In retrospect, I think my grandfather most likely exaggerated his affection for Charlie, simply to ruffle my grandmother's feathers. Long story short, my grandmother, a retired registered nurse, decided to put Charlie's cage outside in the sun with no shade. This happened in the middle of summer during a heat wave. Suffice it to say, Charlie the sweet long-haired guinea pig succumbed to a slow death by heat stroke. Incident number 2. I always had pet tortoises as a kid and fancied myself an amateur herpetologist. When I was around 8, my parents and I were getting ready to travel overseas for 3 months to visit my dad's side of the family. We dropped off our dog and my pet tortoise, Dip, with the grandparents. Same ones from the above story. I explained to my grandmother how to take care of my tortoise and to make sure he gets his calcium powder sprinkled on his food, how to work the UV lamp, etc. We were there for a while and I'm in my grandfather's room. They had separate bedrooms. When I look out of the window to see my grandmother on the patio, literally pulling on the tortoise's head, he was obviously extremely frightened and trying to retract into his shell, and then trying to force his mouth open and force something into it. I freaked. I ran outside crying to see that she has opened a package of raw ground beef that she is force-feeding to my tortoise. I was hysterical and physically tried to get her to stop and screamed for my mom. My grandmother threatened to throw my tortoise on the cement if I didn't stop crying. My mom, who had also been a victim to my grandmother's abuse, said nothing, promptly grabbed my sister and myself, and we left. I used to be angry with her for it, but as I got older, I realized that she was terrified of my grandmother. When we got back from our trip, Dip was dead. She also gave away our dog because every time she opened the door, he tried to run away from the house of horrors. She said she was tired of having to go after him. God knows what she was doing to our dog to make him so desperately want to escape. Incident number 3. A few years ago, on my 28th birthday, my sister, who happens to be an alcoholic, decided to host a pool party. Sadly, my sister grew up to be almost exactly like my grandmother, except with liquor involved. Oh, so this bizarre pool party consisted of herself, her fiancé's 2 pugs, and this FedEx guy she was having an affair with. That's it. The fun started at 9 a.m. with her stopping by my house on her way to the pool party, totally drunk, and asking me to put life jackets on the pugs because she couldn't figure out how to do it. Good thing she got the life jackets, I guess. Fast forward to about 7:30 p.m. Her fiancé just got off work, went to the store and picked up a cake he had custom made for her, flowers and a diamond ring. He pulls up to the house and is immediately concerned when he sees one of his pugs aimlessly wandering around the driveway and still wearing a life jacket. It was late July and was over 100 degrees that day. As he walks up to the house, the front door is wide open and he's wondering where the other dog is. He searches the large house. There's music blaring but no one in sight. When he reaches the bedroom, he opens the door and finds my sister blackout drunk, naked in bed with that weird FedEx guy. He told me that at the moment he didn't even care about catching her in bed with someone else, as he was becoming increasingly more frantic to locate his other dog. He said he just called her an asshole and asked her, "Where's Louis?" To which she responded, "Who's Louis?" Louis was the missing pug. He heads back outside to check with the neighbors if they've seen his dog. He fears that Louis wandered into the street and maybe got hit by a car. As he's walking past my sister's car, he happens to glance in the window, and there's Louis. He said it was the most heartbreaking moment of his life. He opens the car door and picks Louis up, who is still wearing that goddamn life jacket, and he said it felt like holding a hot water bottle, squishy and hot. When he picked Louis up and held him to his chest, a combination of blood, feces and other liquids poured out of Louis onto his shirt. He ran back inside, almost hysterical, asking her how long Louis had been locked in the car. "And what the hell did you do?" he said. She sleepily lifted up her head, looked at him and started laughing, telling him, "You've got shit on your shirt." He said nothing, grabbed his other dog, left the cake, flowers and ring in the driveway, and went back to their shed home to bury his dog in the backyard. He said at that moment he literally could not have cared less about what happened to her. In the days immediately following, she acted like she was the victim of all this. She even took a month off from work. Weeks later, she would tell us, "Oh, it wasn't that hot outside," and that Louis was sickly anyways. Oh, and about a week or two after Louis's tragic death, she bought another puppy, without even running it by her fiancé while he was out of town for a couple of days. They broke up a year later. In our life, there are times when we accidentally kill animals. Some of these mistakes we will regret for the rest of our lives. We would like to spread the love for animals to the world. We are collecting stories about animals, especially cats. If you have any stories about abandoned or abused cats that are needing our help and rescue, please send us an email to animalsmylove999@gmail.com. Thank you. See you later.